Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello dear friends, welcome back to NPTEL online course on logistics and supply chain management. So in the last session we discussed about locating the facility. So where we should locate the facility so that we can be somewhere, we can be cost optimization can also be ensured, and somewhere the responsiveness, quick delivery of the product can also be ensured, right? So once you have decided the location, the very next step should come the forecasting the demand, because once you will predict the demand, only then you can design the capacity of that location, right? How large, how big you need to design. So this session will discuss about the demand forecasting, right? What are the factors we need to consider, what are the challenges for demand forecasting, what different types of demand forecasting techniques we have. We will discuss some qualitative techniques, we will discuss some quantitative techniques as well, right? So this is some related data, latest data by World Bank on Indian, how Indian economy is behaving since last 2-3 years, right? So if you can see, instead of the global economy, the global markets, they are facing challenges, but still India somehow managed the growth rate, right? And you can see financial year 2023, 2022 and 3 at 7.2%, right? So India's growth rate was the second highest among G20 countries and almost twice the average for emerging market economies, right? So this resilience was underpinned by robust domestic demand, which is quite obvious. We have huge customer potential. Whatever we are producing, we can consume within the country, right? So that kind of market is there, and strong public infrastructure investment, private investment is also coming. And then if you see, bank credit growth rate has also increased to 15.8% from 23-24 to 13.3%, right? So from last year 13.3%. So if you talk about India's GDP, so that is also predicted somewhere more than 6%, right? So if you talk about manufacturing sector, is a tremendous growth we are seeing. Services sector again matured at that. Maybe we are somewhere struggling with the agriculture sector, right? So because of maybe the growth rate is not that high what we were expecting, right? If we talk about the expenditure approach method, so GDP growth in the third quarter was aided by a strong uptick in private investment spending, which I was talking about, that private investment is also increasing, and 10.6% year over year we have seen the growth, which is not small, right? So talking about the private consumption improved to 3.5%, and this again coming back to India's resilient domestic demand, which is not only opportunity for the local players, but also then the global players now they are thinking of investing within India, and the kind of the business environment now we are providing here in India with the one point tax structure and all those liberal policies are there. So kind of red carpet welcome is there for all the foreign investors. So you can see the growth is also coming in that way, right? So let us come back to some production and supply chain perspective. If you see, gross value added is growing at 6.5% year over year. So that means that is showing the growth in manufacturing, which is again you can see, and construction activities are also increasing at 9.5%, and then you can see services sector somewhere 7 to 8% we have seen, right. Agriculture, which I was talking about, the rate is not that high. But the main point here is that gap between GDP and GVA, what gross value adding, we can see it's not only 1 year problem, year over year we have seen that there is GDP is higher than the gross value added, right. So now this reason, what is the basic reason? So very clear indication that demand is high, right, but there is gap between the demand and supply. We are not able to produce all the things we need here, that's why we are going for importing, right. So if you talk about food industry only, so food industry, if agriculture growth is contracting at 0.8%, you just imagine, so from where we will produce that much. So that gap is obvious, supply gap is obvious, right. So that's why we need to predict our demand in a proper way, so that all the facilities can be made ready to whatever future challenges will come, right. So demand forecasting is the process of understanding and predicting the customer demand, right. And why we are doing that, when you obviously how we are meeting the demand through that long supply chain. In that we need to manage our suppliers also, we need to place the replenishment orders with them, right. Whatever demand is, accordingly they will supply the material, accordingly we will store the material in the storage house, accordingly we will design our manufacturing capacity, accordingly we will design our distribution network. So that means all depends upon only demand forecasting. Having said that, that means we need to define the demand function very clearly. That means demand function on which the demand is depending, maybe the economic condition, maybe the price of the product, maybe the price of the competitor product, maybe the inflation rate, maybe the so many other factors, right, price of the complementary goods, so many other factors can be there. So you need to configure this demand function very carefully for your industry, for your product or services, whatever you are selling. So once you have done that, only then we can ensure that this is not happening, not we are producing over, excess production is not there, and we are also not stock out, right, in the market. So obviously this is not one step, we have one comprehensive structure how we can predict the demand, right. So what are the factors, we will just go through what are the factors which are affecting the demand. Seasonality, which is very obvious, now the summer season is going on, right, everywhere there is demand for ACs, water coolers, for fans, all those things are going on, right. So that is seasonal. But what about after 3-4 months, then there will be winter season, right. So then how you need to predict it very accurately, because the industry I was talking about, maybe when there is off season during winters, you can still pile up your inventory, and whenever the season will come you can consume that inventory, right, that is one way. But again, if it is a kind of perishable item, how you will maintain the inventory, right. So seasonality plays very important role, right. And suddenly if peak demand is there, can you go for expanding your capacity like anything to meet that peak demand, and then after 3 months what you will do with those extra capacity, those extra resources, manpower, machines, whatever plant you have expanded, simply you cannot fire the people you have hired now for your peak demand, and then after 2 months you cannot do that, right. Then competition, this also plays important role while shaping your demand function. Suddenly some player are losing maybe market share because of their brand image, like what happened with Nokia. Nokia was leader once in a time in Indian market, and you can see because of their after sale services people were relying in Nokia, right. But then the issues happened with battery, and then you see now where is Nokia. So if that situation happened with Nokia, that becomes opportunity for other players. So then either your demand can go down or skyrocket, that is obvious. If Jio is coming with so many different offers, obviously demand for other Hutch, Vodafone, Cellular network, all that has gone down. So then they collaborated to fight, still they could not, right? So competition is also important factor. Geography. So geography, from where the demand is coming, where are your customers and where are your manufacturers, right? So let's say if I'm talking about some hilly area and you are promoting your low floor car, whether it will work in hilly area, low floor car? No, obviously. So then you know that is specific for some particular reason. If you talk about the cosmetic industry, the cream they are selling, right? So hilly area weather conditions are different. Here in Kharagpur or Calcutta, weather conditions are different. So the demand will be, you know, if we are using all those stuff, right? So that geographical location also you need to consider. Economy. So you might have seen during recession there is usually fall down in the economic activities. During 2008 recession also we have seen, during this COVID pandemic we have also seen that demand for automobile industry, demand for all those luxury product have gone down, right? But the demand for low price product like basic things, right? People started buying like anything, like your grocery item. So demand is increasing for those items, price will shoot up like anything. But luxury items, price may fall, but even then you are not interested because you are not getting enough income. You want to survive. So for survival you need those minimum things, right? For whom maybe those things, for getting those things you are paying extra. Now types of goods, like I talked about the perishable goods, you need to predict in that way. But if you are talking about, let's say, how many people will recharge your, you know, go for your data services, you know that how many people are using your network this connection, right? So those many fixed kind of demand. Even if you talk about the automobile industry, once the product is matured, you know this is going to be the demand, right? And you know when you are going to be, you know, going to phase out that product and you are coming up with the new model, and then you are shifting in a proper way, right? So that transition is planned transition. But what about the perishable items? So then you need to predict properly. Advantages of demand forecasting, obviously you can plan your inventory in that way so that you are not maintaining extra inventory. That extra carrying cost you can prevent, holding cost you can prevent, and the extra effort required to maintain that inventory, and then you don't want to be stock out. So for that you need to predict your demand accurately. Cost reduction, when you can reduce inventory, obviously you can reduce the cost as well. Not only inventory cost, but the production cost, but the transportation cost. Extra you are producing, extra you are transporting, extra you are distributing to your retailer, and then your retailer is struggling to consume that in the market because there is no demand. Customer satisfaction. So once you predict the demand accurately, you can be easily available in the market with your product and services, and you can satisfy the customer, and in that way you can maintain loyal customers. Production planning, you can go as per your demand, right? And resource allocation, that maybe next 2-3 months peak season is there, I can prepare for that with extra resources, right? Or maybe right now I can plan inventory little bit and then I can meet the demand. So whatever way you want to work, and different strategies are for different kind of industries. Marketing and promotion. Now you know that the demand for particular product, right? So you know which product you need to campaign more and which you can restrict with the campaign. If you are phasing out any product, no demand is coming after your heavily investment in the marketing things, but even then you are struggling with, you know, arranging that. So then you should, you know, you can plan that marketing budget as well. Financial planning, how much you need to invest into raw material, how much you need to invest into capacity planning, production, warehouses, distribution. So that planning you can do, right? Risk mitigation, if you are doing the forecasting thing regularly, if any fluctuation is coming in the market, that you can assess in advance and then you can mitigate that risk, right? Strategic decision making, how much I need to make, another strategic decision, where I need to locate the warehouse center. If that demand is coming, high demand is coming from Kharagpur, let us set up one distribution center in Kharagpur, right? So, and new product development, market expansion, capacity expansion, all that will depend upon, obviously you You will go for capacity expansion when you are sensing that your demand function is increasing, when you are getting that input. Supply chain optimization you can do based on that. Once you are sure about the future, then you can optimize. And seasonal planning, any peak season, scale up, scale down you can do. And if you are doing the demand forecasting in a proper way, you have that information and you are taking informed decision, obviously will provide you the competitive edge over the other players. What are the challenges of demand forecasting? Obviously, how we are predicting the demand future based on information. So that means always you need information data to process to find out the future demand, right? So if you are lacking with the data, or sometimes we are lacking with the resources to get that much data, then we are facing difficulty to predict the accurate demand. And because how we are predicting the demand, because we are basically what we are doing in forecasting, we are taking the historical data, we are trying to extrapolate the trend for future. We can see that how it will impact. If the demand is behaving somewhere like this, so we can see it is growing, so we can extrapolate that this will grow like this only at this rate, or maybe like this it will come down, depending upon whatever factors you are considering, right? Limited visibility into future, always you cannot predict the future accurately, so some risk is always there, and in forecasting risk is always there, right? So technological change will come and you never know that this technology will be outdated, whatever you are doing right now, and you need to change to the new technology, and you have built up all the inventory, production you are doing, so much inventory is with the retailers, with the warehouses, how you will consume? If better technology product is available in the market, you will go for the outdated product. Inaccurate demand models, if you are not predicting which model is required for predicting the demand, that also you need to pick carefully, right? So we have qualitative, quantitative models, we will see how that will help you to accurately predict the demand. Poor forecasting process. See, this forecasting process is depending upon collecting data. So during collection also, whether you are touching all the data points or you are collecting few samples, then that process you can just imagine how, if you are collecting only 500 samples or if you are collecting 5,000 or 50,000, right? So there will be difference between the results when you are compiling the results. Insufficient resources, collecting 50,000 data points, you need those resources, you need technology, you need to invest, whether we have efficient those many resources or not. And sometimes the factors like pastel analysis we are doing, political, economical, social, legal, ethical, technological, that all those external factors you cannot predict, right? So if any change is there, so that will change. Type of forecast, demand forecasting, passive demand forecasting is a kind of where you are not considering the dynamic environment, and whatever is the demand in the last year, you are thinking that similar kind of demand will be there. So you are using though for this kind of model, passive demand forecasting, where steady demand is there. Active demand forecasting for any startups or new companies coming with new products, new ventures, new R&D you are doing with the old product. So then you need to predict accurately, you need to consider the active environment, dynamic environment, and then that is active demand forecasting. Means quickly you need to update your forecasting. Short term demand, depending upon the time, maybe that short term you are saying that somewhere less than 1 year, whatever you are predicting, 1 year to 2 year, maybe the medium term forecasting, or more than 2 years again can be your long term forecasting. But that again depends upon this is again short term, medium term, long term, depends upon the nature of the industry. This we discussed earlier as well. If you are talking about entertainment industry launching web series or movie, today you are launching, tomorrow maybe it is gone. If you have seen once, no one is going unless it is that level. So that means for that 1 or 2 days or initial 1 or 2 weeks are important as short term planning. Medium term, maybe after that how you launch on different platform. long term there is no long term if you are talking about fashion industry. So short term you need to predict accurately so that you can plan just in time, right, when it is required. So day to day routine activity you can predict, and long term demand forecasting, so over next maybe 5 years how you are thinking. If you need to expand the plant capacity, whether you have that land available with you so that you can expand, right. So overall blueprint maybe for 10 years, 20 years, targeting your vision statement, how you are looking yourself after 20 years, right. So macro and micro level within that industry, how other players are competing, how your product is competing with the other products available in the market, all those factors are related to product, complementary products, right, the prices of the raw material, all those things you will consider. Macro, like I talked about, the pestle analysis always political, economic, social, technological, ethical, legal, all those factors you will consider in macroeconomics. So talking about demand forecasting techniques, we have qualitative techniques as well, we have quantitative techniques. So quickly we will go through each technique and we will see. First is Delphi method. So different steps are there, but I'll in a nutshell I will tell you Delphi method is, we have group of 10 to 15 experts, right, they all are sitting around round table, and then we are giving them one questionnaire or common agenda to discuss, right. So we are asking to record their inputs, they are recording their inputs, we are collecting those inputs, we are compiling those inputs, and then again we are circulating inputs of all the experts among themselves, right. So after that, going through those compiled report, now they will come to know, okay, we missed these points and someone else maybe they have mentioned those points, so then they will start thinking on that. We will do this exercise again, we will compile, again we will circulate until the consensus is done, right. So this is complete Delphi method. So you can just go through step by step, selection of expert, 10 to 50 experts, as I told you, the expert in that industry, where you, if you talk about automobile industry, so 10 to 50 experts of automobile industry, two-wheeler industry or four-wheeler industry, whatever you are going to predict, they will sit together, right. Then questionnaire design, what are the points you will include in the questionnaire on which you are seeking the input, right. Those quantitative, qualitative questions, close-ended questions can be there, open-ended questions can be there. As I mentioned, first round of questionnaire, you will provide your independent inputs, but then because once you are providing your independent input, you are not biased with other inputs, what others are thinking. So first I want to record your independent opinion on that, then we will take the feedback analysis from each one, we will summarize that, and subsequent rounds will happen where I will circulate the inputs coming from all 50 experts to all the 50 experts, and then again we will do this exercise and will final report will prepare where all points are, now 50 experts have given their points, all points will circulate, then they will come with the common agenda that this is going to be the forecast for the next 6 months, next 5 years, next 10 years in that particular industry, right. Then this is another method, Salesforce composite forecast. Usually this is we are doing when we are dealing with those products which we are consuming through retail industry usually. So either you talk about the FMCG products, or if you talk about other food industry, or even not only food, construction industry also, right, where you are talking about moving cement or steel rods or bricks, whatever required in the end market. So again here what we are doing, we have sales, this is also known as pooled sales force composite method. Why pooled sales force composite method? Because reason wise we have defined that this reason particular markets, 10 market, this person salesperson is looking after. Maybe he is visiting those retailers, 10 markets, maybe you have 20-25 retailers. He is managing data for all those retailers, how much daily inventory they are depleting, how much inventory they are depleting of the competitors, what is the market demand, how it is going to behave, they are interacting with the retailer, getting the fresh inputs directly from the customers as well. So right now that 10 market information he will be sharing maybe at the next level, district level. So this is maybe region, small region is there, then district level I am collecting from maybe 50 these sellers are there in one district. Then that district, different district, one state, we will be compiling the data. From one state we will be compiling data for one country. From one country we will compile data for one continent. So this is how, if you are my MNC, this is how you will compile data, pooled Salesforce map. So data collection, again step wise, you will see where you can collect the data, obviously with the retailers. Choose forecasting method, how you will predict, how you will compile the report, how you will generate the initial forecast, and then collaborative input, as I told you, region wise, then district wise will be compiled, then state wise will be compiled, then country wise will be compiled, and in the end we will find out one figure for that particular product in India, how much demand is going to be, right. So another is expert knowledge. Here what we are doing, expert, we are conducting interviews with the expert, and we have listed question, and we are giving them either close ended question or open ended questions or different discussion points. This is also known as focused group discussion, or Delphi method can also be included here, or brainstorming sessions can also be included here, and then we will ask them their opinion, perspectives, right, on the prediction of that particular industry, right. So how it is going to, it is, if it is talking about we are any technological development will be there or not for next 5 years. So how they are expert in that field, they can tell us that this technological advancement is going to happen and we need to move in this way. So this is another method. Survey method, like this can be routed through your Salesforce, or maybe a special survey team can be there who will be defining the objective of the survey. Obviously in this case we are predicting demand, so we will be interested in knowing the demand of the product for the whole industry, for our product, right. Then we will design the questionnaire, and multiple choice questions, like I talked about, Likert scale question, ranking, all those open ended questions can be there, and then you will select the samples, like different markets, consumers you will go, customers you will interact with, and then you will collect the survey, right. So then again you will analyze that survey report, you will interpret those results, you will tabulate results, you will come up with the diagrams that how it is going to be, right. So again we can predict demand by using the survey method. So either you can take online survey like monkey survey is there, Google form, you can telephonically you can collect the information, face to face survey also when you are interacting directly with the customer. Usually when we launch new products, then we are going for face to face interaction, or you can send some emails and then you can collect the information. This I talked about interview or focused group discussion, where you are interacting with the experts and getting that expertise information from them. Now let's talk about some of the quantitative methods. So quantitative methods means now we will record the inputs in terms of quantities, or we will see historical data, we will try to figure out the pattern in the historical data. Let's say if this is how the historical data is moving. So I can say this is a kind of product which is where demand is cyclic, means there is cycle. So peak season is there, then off season is there, then again peak season, or maybe the demand is like this. If it is like this, so I can see it is increasing like this, right. So this, how I can draw this, I need data points, quantitative data. So then I can exploit the trend. If I am having up to this data I have, so I can see after this it is going to be like this, so I can predict for future, right. So first method is moving average, where we are considering latest data. Sometimes we are providing the weightage also to latest month's data, and then we are finding out what is going to be the demand for the next month. We have three methods. First is simple moving average, second is weighted moving average, third one is exponential moving average, right. Simple moving average, let's talk about with some example only. See, I am having data for January month, February month, March month. Let us take 3 months moving average. So what I will do, I will sum up these three, 150 plus 160 plus 170 divided by 3. This will be the average will be the demand for March month. Let us now take for April. If I want to calculate for April, I will take the last 3 months, February, March, April. If I will calculate May, I will take, now I will not take February, I will take March, April, May, right. So latest 3 months I will consider. So you can see for March it is there, for April it is there, for May, June, July you can find out latest. But here what we are doing, we are giving equal weightage to last 3 months. That should not be, because in some cases if the latest month data is showing some fluctuation in the demand either in the positive side or negative side, and then we are giving equal weightage to all the months, then we can predict it wrong. So that we need, how we can tap that exponential moving average where we are giving weightage, right. How for this, the basic purpose of this is that we need only 1 month data. Earlier we were calculating 3 months data, right, and then we can capture those fluctuations as well, right. So the unique feature is it incorporates all past data points, because we are calculating the exponential moving factor, right, from all the past point, and then we need only 1 month data to predict it. And if it is non-linear, if it is not moving like this, right, if it is moving like this, so that also we can configure with this. So how we can predict the demand for particular month T? So we need to find out the smoothing factor, which is alpha, and we can find out alpha by 2 divided by n plus 1. N is number of months we were considering. So earlier we were considering 3. So if you are taking 3 months, you can take 3. If you are taking 5, you can take 5. So 1 minus alpha into your last month predicted demand. So let us take here example. So if you are taking 3, so obviously we can calculate the exponential smoothing factor, right. So 2 divided by 3 plus 1, it will be 0.5, and then the alpha will be 0.5. For this alpha will be 0.5, and if we are calculating for March month, so then for March month it will be 0.5 multiplied by 170 plus 1 minus 0.5 multiplied by last month predicted demand. Let us say predicted here is 155, so it will be 155. This is how you can calculate. So you can see for February month you need demand, actual demand for February month, and January month, last month predicted demand, and you can see this is for each month you can calculate, and this is 3 months exponential moving average, right. Now next is weighted moving average. In this case what we will do, we will, like I was talking about, giving highest priority to the last month. So if I am calculating for March, maybe I will give 0.5 weightage, 50% weightage to March month data, maybe I will give 0.3% weightage to February month data, and I will give weightage to 0.2 to January data. So how I will do, 150 multiplied by 0.2 plus 160 multiplied by 0.3 plus 170 multiplied by 0.5. This will be demand for March month. So now you can see here different scale has been used, 1, 2, 3, 4, right. That also you can use. 4 means the latest month you have given highest weightage. This also you can use, where I have given the highest weightage to March month. Now you can find out when I will calculate for April, highest weightage will be given to the latest month, right. This is how you can find out. The next is trend projection. So trend projection, obviously we will find out, we will plot all the data points, historical data, and then we will find out the best fit line, right. So that linear or simple linear regression, multiple linear regression, or polynomial regression we can use for that. So we will see how we can fit that data. See, this is like, let us say this is x independent variable, this y is dependent variable. I am having like these data points. So I will draw the best fit line, maybe this is the best fit line which is touching, maybe passing all the points nearby, we are drawing that line which is having minimum distance from the data points. It can be in the negative direction as well, which will reflect that your demand is decreasing as this x factor is increasing. This is positive relationship. This is the relationship can be like this also. The relationship can be exponential also, right? So this trend we need to find out. If I can predict this line up to this point, I can extrapolate for next month this is going to be the demand, for next month this is going to be the demand. I can predict for those points, but I can predict only up to the maximum scale we have considered, right? So linear, this is how we can predict linear, where this is your bi-intercept, this is your slope of the regression line. Bi-intercept means where this line will touch, this A point is your bi-intercept, and slope of this line is this angle, right? So in detail, simple linear regression if you can go, then maybe you will find out how we are driving this equation of bi-intercept plus m means the slope, b into your independent variable which is t here, x here, this independent variable, and dependent variable is y, where here it is written dependent variable is y, right? So this m we can calculate, this is slope, right? And the what is the significance of this slope is per unit change in this independent variable, how much it is going to affect the dependent variable. If it is value is 0.55, that means per unit change in independent variable will affect 0.55 times dependent variable. So this is exponential trend model. You can use this also, where we are using exponential function. Again we are using a e raised to power b, b is your growth rate and a is your initial value. We can use polynomial equation as well, where straight line will not be there, and you can find out polynomial equation. I will just give you one example of simple linear regression, where you can see this is how we can calculate. See, this is the simple, this is the regression equation. Like I told you, this is dependent variable demand, this is independent variable, this is your slope, this is your bi-intercept. How we can calculate the bi-intercept? B naught is equal to bi bar minus b1 x bar. b1, how we can calculate the slope? This is how we can calculate the slope. We have x values, we have bi values, right? Let's say this is one question. I just want to predict, we are launching different TV ads and we are how many units of car we are selling. So these data points are there, we want to draw this line. So what should be the slope of this line, right? So this is number of ads independent variable, and your car sold depending upon number of ads buy. So we can calculate b1 from here, you can calculate x bar, you can calculate bi bar, this you can find out, and then you can find out b naught as well. So just you put the value here, b1 b naught, any x value you put 3, it will give you the number of cars sold, right? So this you can extrapolate, same equation you can use regression line. This is known as simple linear regression, right? So for more details, maybe research methodology course you can see, where we are using this trend, how we are drawing the best fit line, right? And then we are talking about the error as well, right? There is error component as well, which I have not included because that is statistic part, right? So maybe in detail you can refer to regression line. So this is all about the quantitative methods, right? So these are references you can refer. Thank you very much.